I'm Courtney. We're a family of 5 trying to grow as much of our own food as we can, and we raise chickens. Our kids wanted to name our little backyard farm, so we did. It's called Heart Pine Farms. We'll show you how prolific jalapeno pepper plants can be, and also the process of pickling beautiful jalapeños from harvest to jar. In our garden, we grow jalapeños, and we also grow sweet peppers. We grow sweet Italian orange sweet peppers, and we grow sweet bell peppers, and we also grow pimento peppers. So this is our jalapeno bed. We have 9 plants in this 4x8 bed. We also have 3 bell pepper plants. We grow jalapeños to eat fresh. We also use jalapeños in things like chili. The main reason why we grow jalapeños is for our favorite salsa that we make in can. But we also love to pickle jalapeños, and we have lots of jalapeños on these plants. These plants are very prolific. If you keep harvesting, like if you harvest as often as possible, these plants will produce so many jalapeños. But towards the end of the summer, we kind of leave them on the plants because when we pickle our jalapeños, we like red jalapeños and green jalapeños. We think the red ones are a little sweeter, so it's kind of nice to have that mix in our pickled jalapeños, and they look so pretty in the jar that way. So right now, we're going to harvest these jalapeños, and I think we're going to do 6 pounds today. Okay, so when we grow our jalapeños, when the plants get slightly bigger, we start to support them because look at how big these plants get. I mean, they're full of jalapeños, they're heavy, and they need something to support them because we've lost plants to the wind, and it's sad when they break. So anyways, we use leftover material like wood like this and PVC pipes, and we just constructed our supports that way and tied them up with strings. 9 plants in this 4x8 raised bed are perfect for the ways that we use them. And they're spaced out perfectly. You can see how big these plants get. They need space. So the more space they have, the more jalapeños they're going to produce. If you're growing jalapeños and notice scarring on them, it's called corking, and it just means they grew rapidly and the skin has stretched and cracked slightly. You can see this one is a perfectly smooth one, much like you'd see at the store. The ones with corking are still perfectly fine to pickle and eat, and you don't even notice it. This pepper you can see is softer and has a leathery appearance and feel. This is a very mature pepper and perfect for seed saving because the seeds inside are mature. Okay, we have this scale out here just to make it easier to know how many pounds of jalapeños we have as we're harvesting. So I have to say too, in the summertime, if we have one big harvest at once, or we have more than we can eat fresh or more than we need for salsa, we'll actually chop these up using our veggie chopper. We'll chop these up and freeze them, and then in the wintertime we'll have frozen chopped jalapeños that we use for on pizzas or in chili. So we can use them for recipes even in the winter time. They freeze great. These are pretty bell peppers. Let's weigh it and see how much we have here. I'd say probably more than 6 pounds. And we have almost 7 pounds to work with right here, which is good in case, some of them don't work out. We have to toss them. It's always good to have a little bit more than 6 pounds, but the first thing we do to start the pickling process is fill a sink with water and soak the jalapeños really well to remove any garden dirt or debris. While the peppers are soaking, we prepare our brine and water bath canner. We recommend following water bath canning instructions and recipes from trusted sources like Ball. We use the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving for pickling our jalapeños. We prepare the brine by adding 12 cups of organic white vinegar and 4 cups of water to a large stock pot. We crush 6 cloves of garden garlic and add them to the brine. Next, we start to slice the peppers. We just remove the tops with the stems. You're going to want to wear gloves while handling these sliced jalapeños, otherwise your skin will burn for days. Trust me, I have done this. We use a mandolin because it helps make processing a large amount of peppers much more efficient. We don't worry so much about removing the seeds. Some say that removing the seeds reduces the hotness of the pickled peppers. We don't personally think ours are super hot even though we leave in the seeds. This is just a personal preference. We boil the brine for 5 minutes with the garlic cloves to infuse the garlic flavor, and then we remove the cloves. These jalapeños are water bath canned, so we have our water bath canner prepared with boiling water by this point. We're already ready to add the sliced jalapeños to our jars. We pack the peppers into hot jars, leaving a generous ½ inch of headspace. This recipe using 6 pounds of jalapeños will yield 10 pint-sized jars. You can always cut the recipe in half and use 3 pounds of jalapeños. Next, we pour the hot brine over the peppers, making sure to stay within the ½ inch of headspace. We remove air bubbles by gently stirring with a knife, and then we double check the headspace. We wipe the jar rims, add lids, and add the bands so that they're fingertip tight. We lower the jars into the water bath canner, making sure to bring the water to a rolling boil before we begin the processing time. This is part of the specific canning instructions you'll read about from Ball, but we always make sure there are a couple of inches of boiling water covering the jars in the canner. We put the lid on the canner and process for 15 minutes. We let the jars sit for 5 minutes after they're finished processing before we remove them from the canner. It's always fun to listen for the satisfying popping sound when the jars are sealing. You can tell they're sealed when the little button on the center of the lid flattens. If any of the jars don't seal, they need to be refrigerated. They'll last for a few months in the fridge as long as they remain covered in brine. Jalapeño plants are prolific and one of the easier peppers to grow in our opinion, so pickling quite a few jars of these in one season is easily attainable. We think they're one of the prettiest garden canned foods, and they're also versatile. Enjoy them on pizza, baked potatoes, chili, tacos, and eggs. If you love jalapenos, you'll find many ways to eat these. We hope you'll have fun growing jalapenos in your garden and making some beautiful jars.